Hey guys, we'll sit at tables and talk about politics and sex and even money before we will talk openly about our faith. I was recently invited to talk about my faith in an unexpected circle with an unexpected person. And the moment just has me reflecting hard about the ways that I want to intentionally keep growing in my faith every day. He asked me, "So you believe in God and stuff? Like you have like a faith and like a religion and stuff?" I was asked this at a family gathering by a distant relative after just sharing a few hopes and dreams with the others standing at the kitchen island. And it was really obvious how apparently ludicrous my dreams must have sounded if the response was basically like, "Yeeks, girl, you better have, some faith in a higher power or something," because to them, I was just talking nonsense and I was going to need some help. Regardless of the opinions in the room about these goals of mine, I was actually really caught off by the question and it surprised me. And so my response, there was like a chuckle and probably a little rudeness when I said, "Yes, of course, I believe in God and Jesus. I couldn't have done any of these things without immense faith and grace and love. So, yes, of course." Wait, why are you asking? And it's not unusual for me to ask, like, why are you asking? Like, I'm a questions kind of gal. In fact, I think that some of my most favorite phrases are things like, "Well, tell me more about," or things like, "Okay, but why?" And yes, just like a 5-year old, I will repeat, "Okay, but why?" no less than 4 times. It's the curiosity of a 4-year old, and that's totally my heart. However, I have to admit that in this scenario, my why inquiry was definitely more from a place of almost maybe feeling like challenged than genuine curiosity, which still seems like such a harsh response to someone so innocently asking me about my faith. And in that moment, I became aware that I definitely was not answering from a state of like grace for this person. And I actually even think back to it a little bit and have some regrets about my response. But I say regrets, but I also know that that's exactly it's led me here and the growth that's happened in that experience. So I just know that in my heart, that's not how Jesus responded. When others curiously questioned him, his arms stretched wider with love and grace and then aligned action. It was more of a like, let me show you than my defensive, "Huh, I can't believe you would ask about my faith" kind of response. Now, I will not necessarily be unpacking my spiritual journey in this episode, but what I did want to do is what I want to share, or maybe even to let me back up. So, although I'm not going to unpack my spiritual journey, what I will just say is that for me, I know that I know what Jesus has done for me. I know that he has covered my life in love and grace and truth. And with that comes strength and joy and so much peace. Life is beautiful and it happens for me. And I just know that his promises for me are so, so good. And I long to know God more in every way. And it makes me think like to know God more, he encourages us to be more like Jesus. And I know that's not like a small directive at all. So, like, to actually be more like Jesus, like, what would that be like? What could life abundantly have in store for us all? And I know that's the goal, but like how? So these are the things kind of stirring around in my brain. And I know this episode is pretty vulnerable one, but my hope is that if you're listening, maybe you've been in the same scenario where you were questioned about your faith and you didn't really respond the way maybe Jesus would have. Or maybe you're new to this whole like Jesus thing. And if that's you, then welcome and buckle in because I found it's a beautiful ride, but it's a ride nonetheless. Or maybe you've gone back and forth And sure, like you can believe in a God and stuff, but there isn't like this intimate relationship there, maybe. And for you, I just say, you know what? You and your maker, you're going to connect in all the right ways when the timing is right for you. So, whatever your faith walk looks like, I just hope that you see this as just the intent of the episode, right? Because I always share that. The intent of the episode is just this is just one action plan towards spiritual growth. And it's okay if yours looks different. For me, as I just continue to walk in my faith journey, here's where I'm at so far is that I know, and here are the things that I'm going to be doing. There's three of them. First and foremost is just the fact that the most important thing I know in my bones is that I can't possibly be more like Jesus, this role model of mine, if I don't know much about him, which means I have to stay curious about him and I have to keep learning more about Jesus. I can't love on others and practice grace and patience beyond measure or authentically share his teachings and lessons unless I know more. And I think the ironic thing here is that this isn't a destination. There is no finish line. This is one of those things where I want to spend the rest of my life falling in love with Jesus more every day, learning more about him and really living with him more and more in every single moment for the rest of my days, seeing his goodness in all ways. Another thing, I have to be willing to act. And part of the action that is required with like a spiritual growth or my spiritual growth journey anyway is just this act of in total surrender to all that he is and all that he does and all that he wants for my life. That word surrender, that has been, I think, my unintentional maybe word of the year. What an interesting word. And I think that I could unpack that. I could probably write a book about that at this point. Maybe I will. So what I will say here though is just that it requires full faith and trust in exchange for pure beauty and peace. I think this is a beautiful crossroads, this surrender moment. It's this beautiful crossroads where the things that I learn and I know about Jesus intersect with the way that I'm actually willing to act out that knowledge and live in my life. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Gosh, no. Does that mean that I walk around thinking that I'm holier than thou art? Gosh, no. I'm human and I'm deeply flawed, just like we all are. Does that mean that my heart is softened towards the needs of others? Yes. I am better today than I was a year ago. Still not perfect, but growing in that action and growing in that surrender. Does it mean that I'm like kinder even to myself as I learn more about how I was made in his image and even my deep flaws are his labors of love? Yes, it does. And then the third aspect of just my faith journey that I'm keeping front of mind is how important it is to create continual time and space for constant reconnection to the source of life, beyond learning, beyond doing. It's about knowing in my bones, like the blood coursing through my veins, that he flows through me and in me. This means things like technically, there's no room for self-criticism. Like, this means that there's no excuses for seeing, myself or others as anything less than what he intended and who he intended us all to be. He is with us, and he wants great things for us. He has plans for us. I think that this is probably one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about showing up in these public spaces just with a voice and a message, because I've personally seen that when we live lives aligned to him and we know and we receive God's grace and Jesus' love and the Holy Spirit's guidance, that life is just different. Abundance, peace, joy, like they flow endlessly. And I want that kind of life and I want to be that kind of person. And I look forward to the journey where I get to continue to evolve in this space with my Jesus by my side. So, yeah, this one was all about faith. We totally went there because I tell you, for everyone that continues to approach me and say, "Wow, Britt, I want what you have," or "What's your secret? You seem to be doing so great." Well, guys, like secrets out of the bag, okay? Secrets out of the bag. I believe in God and stuff. I have like faith and like a savior and stuff. And he has a beautiful plan for all of us. And I really believe that this is key to our unjuggle of the struggle, right? Our spiritual growth. It's one piece of our comprehensive life pie. So that's one of the reasons it just felt right this season to bring this to the forefront. So to summarize the unjuggle way that basically I'm going to continue in the new year, my spiritual growth journey, like how it's going to happen to me is it's going to happen. I'm going to continue. So number one was continue to just stay curious about who Jesus really is. Number two, to act in surrender as the knowledge and the application of this faith continue to guide the path and to be intentional. Number three is to be intentional about creating space and time in my day to prioritize my time spent with Him. So, whether that's in prayer or journaling or reading His Word. Our only responsibility truly is just to say yes and accept the gift that He has placed at our feet, the gift of grace, the gift of love, the gift of truth, the gift of purpose, the gift of righteousness, the gift of Jesus. So, today in this Christmas week, may you be reminded of the reason for the season. It's Him, the greatest gift of all, and He is with you like the air you breathe. He is with you. Merry Christmas. Thanks for being here. Until next time, bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus riders. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.